Welcome everyone, hopefully everything's going well for you all. As of December 3rd of this year, I've been making videos on this channel for 3 years. That's pretty insane to think of, for me anyway.
Hello and welcome to Second Opinion, a new adventure for both you the viewer and for me as well. For now, you can just call me Sweet Tea. I'll be your host for this evening, so sit down, relax, and have a good time.
To those of you seeing this video while it's still fresh and new, I'd like to say thank you for watching. And to those of you who may find this years, decades, or even centuries after it was originally posted, I've got to ask, how is Final Fantasy 15? Has it finally released, or did it take Duke Nukem Forever's record and use it as a tissue? Our show is one that will be geared toward trying to give video games the fair trial that they deserve. We're on a mission to not only figure out what makes each game tick, what works and what doesn't, and why this is so, but also to try and answer the much more difficult question of why we think a particular game is quote-unquote fun. We will attempt to be as fair as possible to each game, separating the function-based factors from the more malleable ones that mean more or less to each individual who experiences them. Because of this, we've come up with what we feel is a rather unique way of rating games, but we'll get into that at the end of the video when it's more relevant. It's even more crazy when I realize that I've somehow managed about 1 1/3 videos for every 2 weeks. Not exactly sure how that's possible, but let's go with it. So, in a trend that I think I might keep up with from now on, earlier this year I decided I was going to catalog all of the games I'd played this year. Even back when I started the list, I was a bit surprised at how I'd somehow fit all of these games in the year. The final tally is a whopping 56 games. I wonder if that's normal for me or not, because it sounds like a ton of games, but it doesn't feel like any more than normal. Quick note, I'm tallying this from November of 2016 to November of 2017. Partially because November of 2017 is when I started cooking up this video, so a year from then is November of 2016, and partially because that's when I got my PS4 Pro, so it sounds like a round place to start. I figured I'd go through each game and give some very quick thoughts, with a few of them being a bit more fleshed out if the game stood out to me. I'll also note the few games that were my favorite for the year. Know though that these games do not have to be games that were released this year, just games that I played this year. Don't worry, I'm not going to throw my favorite games in that I've played a million times at the top. I'd have to have played nothing but absolutely awful games all year to do that. Plus, if I want to do this next year, that would be redundant. One last thing, I'm only using footage for the games that I want to talk more about. I'm not getting footage for 56 games, for a video I'd imagine that a lot of people will probably be skipping. So, without further ado, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. It was okay, though people who say it's super scary confuse me. Amnesia Justine. Good idea, iffy execution. Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs. Most enjoyable of the 3 for me, but still nothing amazing. Big City Stories. Janky, limited, and silly. Still, it was mildly fun until the waiting game began. Still waiting. Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and Nioh. Figured I'd take a look at Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and Nioh all at once here, since they're so similar. Overall, I really enjoyed all 3. They're for the most part great games, though each one has some annoying problems. Some more than others. Dark Souls 3. Yeah, I'd definitely say Dark Souls 3 is the weakest. It has some severe balancing issues related to different classes, because it wanted to maintain the swift gameplay of Bloodborne, but also still kinda be a Dark Souls game. Bloodborne, likewise, is really repetitive in boss design. Strange that nobody criticizes it for that, though Dark Souls 2 gets absolutely destroyed for the same reason. Whatever. Neo was the one that I simultaneously was the most worried about and the most excited for. Neo definitely is the most repetitive of the bunch, but for me that wasn't a bad thing. The game is a bit too easy to break, but even when it's broken, the game is extremely challenging by normal video game standards. It's a game I'm excited to go back to at some point. Brink. Time has been cruel to this one, in more ways than one. Castlevania Harmony of Despair. This is a game I've never heard anyone talk about, and that saddened me a bit. It's definitely a janky experience, but it's also rather enjoyable. Basically, it's a distillation of Castlevania's mechanical design into an arcade-like level-based game. You can select from one of many Castlevania characters, who each have their own unique powers and mechanics. Then you explore sprawling levels related to the series, with the goal of eventually killing the boss of that stage. If you're not playing in co-op, it's incredibly difficult. I wouldn't say it's unfair, but it's definitely not easy regardless. When it comes down to it though, it's a game that should be played by anyone who likes Castlevania for its mechanical design. Crash Insane Trilogy. I'm really glad this game exists. While I have some issues with the way it ended up, and none of those issues have been dealt with as of now, it's still overall a really great experience. While I'm sure I'll play the original versions of these games again before I turn old and grey, I also know for sure I'll play this version of these games too. Croc. Sad that it's a series that couldn't continue, but also not surprising. Dirt 4. I know most of my audience doesn't care about more hardcore racing games one bit, but I love them, and I really enjoy this game. So how about a mini review? Dirt 4 is great. It looks great, sounds great, plays great, and improves on Dirt Rally by adding difficulty options and many more modes to play around with. The physics are awesome, and I really like the Joyride mode. The best thing about the game is that you can generate millions of stages so that you're never out of stages to play on. The downside is that even within a single stage, you can find similar or identical sections once in a while. They are, after all, cobbled together with bits and pieces, rather than completely randomly generated. Not a huge deal. My bigger problem is honestly that it no longer offers multiple surface races. Dirt Rally had some amazing tracks that forced compromise in your setup, and separated the best racers from racers like myself. So it sucks that Dirt 4 doesn't offer things like paved roads that are partially covered in snow, and have some insanely dangerous black ice corners thrown in. If it's a paved road, it's all just a paved road. Doesn't kill the game, but it definitely makes it feel like a game rather than a complete simulation of rally. Disc Jam. Fun and engaging. I hope it's doing well. Doom 2016. Well, I got the Platinum Trophy, so I like it a lot. Switch version looks like a mess though. An incredibly impressive mess, but still a mess. Dragon's Dogma. A game that part of me absolutely loves, but also a game that makes me angry on a regular basis. Fortnite Battle Royale. I think I'd enjoy PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds a lot more, honestly, because it seems much more nuanced. But at the same time, Fortnite is free, and it's definitely not bad. The building mechanic in particular lends it a unique flair, and the people who know how to utilize that the best are usually the ones that come out on top. Fishing Planet. It's fishing across the planet. Microtransaction culture masked as a simulator exists here, but it still kinda works. It's not awful or anything. Final Fantasy VII for the PS4. A game I've played a million times now. A game I know better than any other. A game that takes no skill or effort to beat, as long as you don't run from every single battle. So naturally, when this version came out and allowed players to turn off random battles, that's what I did. And you know what? That was the most mechanically engaging Final Fantasy VII has ever been. Surprisingly, the game works when you only fight bosses, and you don't have to resort to crazy cheater tactics or luck to finish it either. It truly gives your ability options a ton of worth they simply didn't have previously. As long as you have sadness on. If you don't, you're toast. I've never had more fun actually playing Final Fantasy VII's battles than with this playthrough. 100% recommended. Final Fantasy 15. I've already said my piece on the base game for Final Fantasy 15. It's good, but not great. Captivating but unfinished. The one thing I'm most impressed with, though, is the dedication the development team has in offering more. Tons of updates and improvements, a lot of which address criticisms, impressively unique DLC for those that want to pay a bit extra, and a lot of free improvements for those that don't. I can now drive a jumping monster truck anywhere I want. I have a ring that makes it so that my experience isn't cashed in when I sleep, super exosuits to play around with, rebalanced mechanics, a reworking of the combo attack system from the Episode Duskai demo, seasonal event-style hunts with unique rewards, a Moogle Chocobo Festival, as well as a strange but interesting Assassin's Creed Festival, costume items from both, a cup noodle hat, updates to chapters that people previously didn't enjoy much, New Game Plus mode, chapter select. There's so much that has been added for free here, and it seems like there's going to be a lot more. I greatly appreciate their willingness to be passionate about their product even after it's released. That doesn't happen often within AAA titles, whether because the studio doesn't want to, or because the publisher doesn't allow it. Fallout 4. Fun at first, but there's a reason I haven't been able to play past around 25 hours. An improvement in some ways, but not a big enough one, and a major downgrade in other ways that should have been obvious to a seasoned team like Bethesda Game Studios. I used to love the games they made. Hopefully they do better next time. Golf Club 2. It's golf! This game isn't absolutely amazing, but it's much improved over the first game, and that would mean that you could argue it's the best pure golf game on current systems. As far as I can tell, due to the course creator system, it doesn't require PlayStation Plus at all for any of its features either. Good on them. Horizon Zero Dawn. Beautiful. Fun story. Passable but largely generic gameplay that clearly tries for more than it achieves. Hustle Kings. I love pool. This pool game is free. It also looks absolutely great, and has a trick shot mode. All it needs is a mode where you can create and post trick shots of your own, and it's perfect. Infamous Second Son. First major game I played on my PS4 Pro. It was more fun than I thought, since Infamous 1 is so dang boring. I've never played the second one. This was much better than the first one, but still not amazing. It looks great though, even today. Kingdom Hearts 1. Pretty enjoyable overall still. Though do yourself a favor, if you're going for the trophies for not changing your equipment, beating the game in under 15 hours, and not continuing if you die at all, prepare for hell near the end. Kingdom Hearts 2. Story is still mostly hot garbage, but mechanically, this game is bliss on critical mode. It's the only mode worth playing really, because anything easier destroys all mechanical balance and ruins 90% of what makes the game worth playing in the first place. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Woo, this is so fun. This isn't broken at all. This isn't broken either. This guy is really fun to fight. These mechanics work perfectly. These worlds aren't empty voids at all. This voice acting is great. These characters are interesting. This story is well told. This game isn't a grind full of self-loathing at all. Best Kingdom Hearts ever. Klonoa. Fun. Not near as amazing as the cult following will tell you though. Legend of K Anniversary. I can feel the passion, and I love how goofy and quirky this game is, but I can't say I actually enjoyed the game itself too much. Might have been playing it wrong though. Lilo and Stitch. Mega Dimension Neptunia. Why does everyone tell me I'll love these games? They're low budget in the worst way, poorly told, with cliché characters, annoyingly repetitive plots, meandering, excessive dialogue, ultra-repetitive dungeons, tons of intentional time wasting, like 6 enemies total in the game, as well as constant repeat bosses, some of the worst balance in all of JRPGs. Any enjoyment I got from it was most likely Stockholm Syndrome. Mega Man 10. As someone who doesn't care too much for the original Mega Man games, I really like this one, partially because I could actually beat it, which I otherwise can only say about Mega Man 1. Mercenaries 2 World of Flames. Doesn't hold up. Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. Totally worth the money to me, and if you ask me, I kind of like it better than what I've played of Phantom Pain, because it doesn't drown me in superfluous padding I'm forced to interface with. It's stealth, great stealth, in its purest form. Mighty Number 9. Could this be the spiritual predecessor to Mega Man 11? The resemblance is uncanny. MX vs ATV Supercross Encore. Mechanically, this game is a little bit more intricate than what I thought, though it doesn't do a great job of explaining itself. And it kinda runs poorly. Clearly a low-budget affair. Naughty Bear Panic in Paradise. Also a low-budget affair, but unlike MX vs ATV, this game goes all out with the creativity. It runs like garbage, and definitely could use refinement in the mechanics, but I'm also not going to pretend that it's not a really fun, rather funny experience. Worth playing if you're curious, though don't expect an earth-shattering experience or a fantastically polished game. You ain't getting that. No Man's Sky. I was intentionally rather hyperbolic in my video on this game. As such, it garnered a bit of disagreement from some who watched it, which is totally fine. That's part of the intent of this channel. But I still hold to the things I said in the video, and I still really love playing the game. The biggest shame is honestly that the whining everyone has done, whether valid or not, has turned the game into a bit of a meme. So there will likely never be a sequel, because the wrath of this meme, and the internet as a whole, would prevent it from succeeding no matter how good it might be. So anyone who wants to should enjoy this game while they can. Not a Hero. Surprisingly, super enjoyable. An arcade-like experience that I recommend to nearly anyone who likes an arcade-like challenge. The Order 1886. Fun, beautiful, but not terribly remarkable. Worth playing, just don't expect Nirvana. Overwatch. Paladins, but if the balancing team was on vacation and the artists were on cocaine. Paladins. Overwatch if it was much better balanced, but statistics dictated the art. Well, for now at least. I've played Paladins now for just under 10 days worth of time, almost 240 hours. I absolutely love it, and at this point I'd probably say that it's my favorite shooter ever. This is one of my 2 games of the year, purely because it impressed me so much, and has given me so much fun over the last 7 or so months. Granted, that might be going out of the window with the upcoming Cards Unbound update, which is basically turning it into a pay-to-win game. You have no idea how saddened I am by that, because if this new system isn't scrapped entirely, I don't know if I can keep playing Paladins. I play it because it's so fair and balanced. Without that, it's not the competitive game I'm looking for. Peggle 2 was pretty fun, until the game failed to load my file and then immediately overwrote my file with a fresh one while I was on the last set of boards. I'll go back eventually, but right now I'm a bit annoyed. Rainbow Six Siege. Holy f***, I can't believe how much fun I had with the game. Never have I been closer to forsaking my integrity and buying a year of PlayStation Plus than for this f***ing masterpiece of a tactical shooter. I was afraid it would feel like dick on the controller because it's so complex, but it feels 100% perfectly f***ing intuitive, and I can't wait to play it again. Ratchet & Clank 2016. This game was okay, it looks amazing, and works well enough, but it didn't feel like there was much passion behind most of it. This is a case where I got the Platinum Trophy because it was easy, not because I really wanted to. Resident Evil 0. Not a great experience. I'm all for the old school design of Resident Evil. Not that I dislike the later, more action-oriented games, but Zero disappoints. It feels like a classic case of innovation because they needed innovation, rather than because it adds something to the formula. Zero was a test of patience because of the limited inventories, the babysitting, and the backtracking turned up to 11. Also, a ton of the enemy attacks were timed exactly to be the most frustrating train wreck in a Resident Evil. The amount of attacks that can stunlock your characters for all but eternity is maddening. Interestingly, this is the first time I tried the Leech Hunter mode, and it was mostly much better. In this mode, the map is mostly unlocked from the beginning, and very little backtracking or babysitting in the traditional sense is required. The goal is to collect 50 green leech jewels with Rebecca and 50 blue ones with Billy. Trick is, you can't put them down when you pick them up, and they only stack up to 10 in a slot. This means to collect them all, you have to use all of your inventory spaces but one. That turns the limited inventory into an interesting mechanic. Enemies still suck though. I was expecting to just grab 10 minutes of footage, but ended up playing the whole mode for an hour and a half. It has one major issue though, that left me extremely angry. All the puzzles and traditionally locked doors are unlocked here, except for a few. Ones that need a flame key. Why is this? I don't know. But I just so happened to explore everywhere but where you find the flame key first. That means by the time I got the key, I was stuck with each character only having a single inventory slot for a weapon, not even any extra ammo, and was then asked to drop one of these weapons to pick up the key so that I could unlock all the flame doors and explore beyond. So in order to do this safely, I'd have to go unlock every door, go back and get my gun again, and then pray that I'd have enough ammo to deal with any enemies inside. If I didn't, then I'd have to leave the rooms, go find one of the other guns laying around the map, and repeat. After an hour and a half, that's at least another half hour of garbage, all because they decided to throw a single key into this mode. Had I just happened to find this key first by exploring the right area first, I'd have been golden. But they basically punished me for randomly choosing to explore that area last, despite doing everything else really well for the duration of the mode. Bah humbug. Risk of Rain. I got this game dirt cheap and really enjoy it. It's a roguelike where the more time you spend, the more difficult it becomes. So do you explore for power-ups and secrets and end up facing more numerous and dangerous enemies? Or do you rush things and risk being under-equipped and under-leveled later on? The gameplay is fun enough, the environments are interesting, there's a ton of content to keep you engaged in the form of items, game modifiers, and characters, and it has fantastic music. A must-play if you like roguelike design. Shantae Half Genie Hero. Always heard the Shantae games were amazing. I played this one, got the Platinum Trophy, it was fun enough, but nothing that special. Shovel Knight. A really close contender to the other games I enjoyed most this year. Again, I'd always heard that Shovel Knight was amazing, and it looked like it for sure, but how amazing it was, I wasn't prepared for. I will be doing a review of this game once the King Knight DLC comes out, rest assured. Spoiler alert, it's a fantastic game. Sonic Mania. This is the game that beat out Shovel Knight, as my other game of the year along with Paladins. Not saying it was the best game that came out this year, just that I love it the most. I was fully prepared to be let down by Sonic Mania, and figured that it would only meet my basic expectations at best. While the game isn't perfect, never in my wildest dreams did I think Mania could improve Sonic's 2D design to such a degree that it looked effortless. In my opinion, Sonic is one of the hardest series to design things well for. Little mistakes and lazy decisions can snowball into huge issues because of the restrictions his mechanics place on the design. So to see this game tear the roof off of previously established Sonic design limitations was a magical experience that I want more of. I'll be playing this game for the rest of my life. Spyro 2. Fun, if flawed experience that relies too much on needless backtracking. Stardew Valley. Really enjoyable, though it's not for the reasons I was expecting. I'd hoped and gotten the impression that the game was more centered around reacting to random events in the world and in your relationships with people. That's what all the reviews gave me the idea it was going to be like. I can't say that I particularly enjoy how in control of everything around you are, but it doesn't damage the game's experience so much as sort of limit what it can be. Still a really fun game for sure. Strider 2014. Surprisingly engaging, though there are a few secrets that are too well hidden, and playing it a lot hurts your fingers. Terraria. This game is as enjoyable for me as Minecraft, but for different reasons. If you combine the depth of Minecraft with the breadth of things to do in Terraria, you'd have the perfect open world crafting game in my opinion. I'm dying to go back and play more Terraria, but unfortunately the update that's supposed to transform the console version into the PC version has been in radio silence forever, and I don't want to go back until that update is a reality. Titan Souls. An unsettling but comforting game with interesting, albeit demanding design, and some fantastic music. Part of me wishes there was more to it. Another part of me is glad that it's so concise. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This game is one that I was expecting to be. The thing is that it never, and I just can't, is great, and I wish, and how could I leave out that with another example of losing all recognition of. Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you're interested in another one, here's the last one that I uploaded. You can also follow me on Twitter or subscribe by hitting the subscribe button.